Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Love from Lizi's March 2023 card kit. The theme is Spring Friends. As I'm recording this voiceover, the kit and many of the add-ons are still available, and I do have links provided in the description box below. This is a beautiful kit, lots of soft colors and adorable hedgehog images. So let's go ahead and get started with card number 1. I will be using some card sketches for inspiration. The first sketch is from MFT. This is number 494. And if you are interested in any of the sketches I use in this video, I share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. That link is provided in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. For my first card, I selected a beautiful floral paper for the background. Added a wide panel of this soft pink pattern paper that has little hearts all over it. Instead of layering the pink pattern paper on cardstock, I'm adding some Love from Lizi peel-offs along the very edge. This is the rose gold mirror color in the pinstripe style. And since I'll be covering up the very center of the card, I was able to use up some of the tiny peel-off scraps that I have. I layered the background piece on some blue cardstock. Then added my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Next, I cut out a stitched oval die cut from some beautiful yellow pearlescent cardstock. And this yellow cardstock is part of the add-on pearlescent cardstock bundle. I believe it has sold out. Lizi's pearlescent cardstock bundles are always very popular. For an image, I'm using one of the hot air balloon stickers that's included in the kit. For a sentiment, I've already stamped out Happy Birthday. This sentiment is not included in the March kit. It's part of Love from Lizi's Fresh Start stamp set, which was included in a previous kit, and you can still buy this stamp set. I cut a fishtail on both sides of the sentiment. Before adhering it to the card, I did put a small piece of scrap cardstock on the right and left side, just to make sure the sentiment laid nice and flat. For a final finishing touch, I'll add a few of the peach colored sequins that are included in the kit. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 1. For card number 2, the card sketch is from Cards TV. This is sketch number 8. I selected 3 pattern papers. I have a blue with yellow hearts for the piece on the right, a lovely floral with a blue background for the piece on the left, and a narrow strip of yellow with some tiny white splatter polka dots. I'll layer all of those pieces on some dark blue cardstock, and this is cardstock from my stash. Lizi does include several sheets of colored cardstock, but I always bring in additional cardstock since I love to add layers to my cards. Between the floral and the yellow polka dot paper, I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel-off. This is the gold mirror color in the pinstripe style, and I'm using the narrowest width. I'll put some ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Lizi's included 2 beautiful laser cut wooden tags, and I really wanted to feature at least one of them on a card. I selected this lovely butterfly design. To make that design really pop out, I flipped over the wooden tag, put some double-sided tape along the very outside edge, and I'm adhering a piece of the yellow pearlescent cardstock. Next, I'll add a small piece of cream-colored ribbon, and this is included in the kit. Before adhering the tag onto the card, I want to make sure to leave enough room for the sentiment. I wasn't sure if I wanted it in the lower right-hand corner or the upper right-hand corner. The sentiment is thank you, and this is a die that's included in the kit. Kind of different design. The T, H, and A are separate from the NK of thank, and then the U is hooked to that piece. So I'll place the tag on my card. It'll sit more toward the left than what's indicated on the card sketch. That way I have enough room to put thank you in the upper right-hand corner. I'll adhere the U and the NK down first. And I found it fairly easy to get everything lined up since the paper on the right has little lines all over the background. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding a few Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in the gold moondust color. I'm using the largest size circle and adding 3 of them in the lower right hand corner next to the tag. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 2. For card number 3, the card sketch is from Cards TV. This is sketch number 12. For the background of the card, I'm using another beautiful pearlescent cardstock. This is the mint color. I cut it out using Love from Lizi's stitched rectangle dies. She has an amazing set of stitched rectangles and also stitched circle dies. Tons of dies included, so you're sure to have the size that you need. I will be layering the background piece on some dark teal cardstock, but first I'll add a narrow strip of the yellow and white polka dot paper. Along the edge of that yellow paper, I'm using some more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the clear yellow iridescent glitter color. It adds the beautiful sparkle of glitter without the mess, since all that glitter is sealed in place. Now I'll layer the background piece on the teal cardstock, put some ATG tape on the back, and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. For the 3 squares that go across the card, I selected 2 pattern papers, this lovely floral paper for the 2 smaller squares, and for the larger square, it's a light teal color with some small white polka dots. Similar design to the narrow yellow strip at the bottom of the card. I'll be layering all 3 of the squares on the same dark teal cardstock. I'll attach the 2 floral squares down first, trying to get placement correct. Before adhering the larger square, I'll put some scrap cardstock on 2 of the corners. Then I'll add some glue on the back and adhere it in place. For a sentiment, I've already stamped this out, Thinking of You, and this sentiment is on the stamp set that's included in the kit. I stamped it on some cream colored cardstock and cut it out using Love from Lizi's stitch circle die set. Then I'll adhere it onto that larger square. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding 2 of the burlap flowers. To adhere them in place, I put a large glue dot on the back side. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 3. For card number 4, the card sketch is from Sketch Saturday. This is number 666. This is one of my favorite cards, but do let me know which card is your favorite. I selected this lovely pattern paper for the background with lots of flowers, and it has a very soft pink, sort of peach color. I'll be layering it on some pink cardstock. For the wider strip on the background, I selected a tone-on-tone pink polka dot pattern paper. And for the banner piece, I selected a light pink pattern paper with some small hearts. Instead of the stitch line that's indicated on the card sketch, I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel-off. This is the gold mirror color in the pinstripe style. I'm using the widest width. I did cut the peel off just a little wider than my card panel, and I'll simply wrap those ends around the back. I'll layer this piece on the pink cardstock, then add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. For the small image box, I cut it out of some cream colored cardstock, and I'll layer it on the same pink cardstock, adhere that in place following the sketch design, and I'll be adding one of the adorable hedgehog stickers. For a sentiment, I'll add the word hello, and this is from Love from Lizi's Hello Sunshine set. It's one of my favorites. I stamped it on the same cream colored cardstock, and I'll cut the very end to match that light pink and heart pattern paper. Before adhering it in place, I will add some scrap cardstock on the right side, then I'll adhere it down using some glue. For a final finishing touch, I'll add some more of the burlap flowers. There are 2 different colors included in the kit. There's more of a craft color and also a light cream. I'll adhere all of those down using small glue dots. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 4. The little hedgehog images included in the kit are so adorable. For card number 5, I won't be using a card sketch. I selected this lovely mint green pattern paper for the background. It has all the little hearts and lines all over it. I'll be layering it on a darker green cardstock, but first I'll add a couple of Love From Lizi peel-offs. This is the mint green color in the moon dust style, and I love how it almost matches that pattern paper perfectly. I'll add a medium and narrow width peel-off toward the bottom of the card. The moon dust and glitter peel-offs have a little more dimension than all the other peel-offs, so I won't wrap the ends around the back. Instead, I'll flip over this panel, use my scissors to trim off the extra. Then I'll layer the background on the green cardstock, add my card front onto a card base. And for this card, I won't have any of the white card base showing. For images on the card, I'll be adding 2 of the hot air balloons. And instead of the stickers, I'll be using ephemera. The coordinating ephemera was one of the add-ons, and it did sell out right away. But the kit has the same images, just in sticker form. I cut out a stitched rectangle die cut from some vellum. Before I adhere that to the card, I'll add both of the images. For the balloon on the left, I'll use glue to adhere it in place. And the balloon on the right that has the little hedgehog in the basket, I did put foam dimension on the back side. Once I add both of the balloons, I can flip over the vellum piece, add glue on the back side just where those 2 ephemera pieces are. And I'll also put a little bit of glue in the upper right-hand corner since I know I'll be adding a sentiment there. I've already stamped out the sentiment thanks, and this is from the stamp set that's included in the kit. Stamped it on some white cardstock, and I'll cut a fishtail on the left side. Then I'll put glue on the back and adhere it in the upper right-hand corner. For a final finishing touch, I'll add some of the mini circle peel-offs. This is the gold moon dust color. Put 2 in the lower left-hand corner and 1 underneath the sentiment on the right side. Once I have that larger circle peel-off down, I'll lift up the lower left-hand corner and add just a small drop of glue. That way there's one more area where the vellum is attached to the background. For card number 6, the card sketch is from OWH. This is number 125. I selected another lovely mint green pattern paper for the background. This one has the little polka dot splatters all over it. I'll layer it on some darker green cardstock, add my card front onto a card base, this time leaving 1/4 of an inch of the white card base showing. I will be adding a narrow strip of some floral pattern paper, but first I'm pulling out 4 of the adorable hedgehog ephemera pieces that are either sitting in a little wreath or hanging from a wreath. First, I'll lay all of those ephemera pieces on my card. I want all 4 of the wreaths in a row. Then I can attach that floral strip. Once that's adhered, I'll start adding all the little hedgehog wreaths. I'm using a pair of reverse tweezers to hold those small ephemera pieces while I put glue on the back side. I'll start with the hedgehog on the left side, then work my way toward the right. I love how all the images are different. The hedgehog on the left is wearing a little vest. The next one over is dangling from a little floral vine. The next hedgehog is holding a star wand. And the hedgehog all the way on the right is holding a flower, and there's lots of flowers around the wreath. Once I have all of those adhered down, I'll add the large pre-tied bow that's included in the kit. It's this lovely satin cream color. And I'll adhere that in place using a large glue dot. I decided for this card not to put a sentiment on the front. I'll wait and add a sentiment on the inside when I know what I'll be doing with this card. I think it'll be perfect for a baby card. For a final finishing touch, I'll add a few of the mini star peel-offs in the gold moon dust color. So there is my finished card. I love how this one turned out. Lots of adorable hedgehog images. Now moving on to card number 7. The sketch is from Cards TV. This is sketch number 39. I selected a very light peach colored pattern paper for the background with all the little speckles, and I cut it out using a stitched rectangle die. I'll layer that piece on some of the mink pearlescent cardstock. I put some ATG tape on the back and also a little bit of liquid adhesive along the very outside edge. That'll help that stitched border lay down nice and flat. Then I'll add my card front onto a card base. Across the center of the card, I'm using some of the floral paper I used on a previous card. This is a 1-inch strip. And for a little extra detail and shine, I'll add some of the rose gold mirror peel-offs. I think I'm using the widest width this time. Since I had already attached that stitched rectangle die cut, I did use a craft knife to trim off the very right side of the peel-off. Next, I'll be adding one of the white doilies that's included in the kit. I'll put just a little bit of ATG tape on the back and adhere it toward the left side of the card. I'll also be adding 2 of the adorable craft envelopes. They're teeny tiny little envelopes. You can actually put something inside and close them. I'll have both of them open. I put some glue on the back side and attached both of the envelopes onto the white doily. And I'll lift up the doily to add just a little bit of glue underneath the area where the envelopes are. Inside each of the envelopes, I'm adding one of the hedgehog ephemera pieces. And I'm not tucking them all the way in. I want it to look like their little hands or paws or sort of holding onto the edge. And I'll adhere both of those in place with some glue. For embellishments, I'm adding 2 of the wooden buttons, and I'll adhere them in the lower left-hand corner. I'll also add some small floral ephemera pieces to what would be the back side of the envelope, but it's the part that you can see on the card. For a sentiment, I've already stamped out the word hello. This is from the Hello Sunshine stamp set by From Lizi. I cut the right side at an angle, and I did put some foam dimension on the back side. For a final finishing touch, I'll add a few of the sequins that are included in the kit. It's this lovely light peach color. Put 2 in the upper right-hand corner by the sentiment and 1 in the lower left-hand corner. I'm using an embellishment wand to pick up the sequins, adding just a small drop of Barely Art glue, then pressing those sequins in place. And the little pink tray I was using to hold my sequins is the lid for a chamois case. I mostly use it to hold small embellishments. I'm not sure I've ever actually used it to hold a wet stamp chamois. For card number 8, I'm using more of the beautiful pearlescent cardstock, this time a light purple color. I cut it out using a stitched rectangle die. This card will be featuring From Lizi's add-on invisible sticker set. It has lots of the beautiful hanging wreaths, and there are also some small little floral pieces. I selected 2 of the floral wreaths. One of them I'll adhere a little bit higher, and that's the one on the left. For the extra vine, I'll simply wrap the end around the back. Then I'll add a second floral wreath on the right side, a little bit lower. This is the first time Lizi's offered invisible stickers, and it really is a beautiful set. When attaching both of the wreaths, I'm trying to make sure that hanging vine is nice and straight. I'll be popping up that entire panel using some thin foam dimension, and I'll be adhering it onto another stitched rectangle die cut using the same light purple pearlescent cardstock. Sometimes I only use 1 or 2 of the pearlescent cardstock bundle, but this time I use several different sheets. I always save the scraps. The pearlescent cardstock works really well with dies. When adding the foam dimension on the back side, I'll make sure to get good coverage so there isn't one area that sags. Remove the release paper and adhere the smaller rectangle onto that larger rectangle. Then I'll put some ATG tape on the back of the larger rectangle and also a little bit of glue along that very outside stitched edge and add my card front onto a card base. For this card, I am leaving a fairly wide white card base border, and that's not something I do very often. This card also doesn't feature any pattern paper. Now there is a reason I left that wide border. I'll be adding some From Lizi peel-offs. This is the gold color in the pinstripe style, and I'm using the medium width. I'll add 1 peel-off on each side, leaving just a slight gap next to the purple cardstock. I'll cut the peel-offs just a little bit wider than my card base. Once I've added all 4 peel-offs, I'll create a fun little gold border. Using a craft knife, I'll press the tip into the corner, mitering those 2 peel-offs together, and this will create a beautiful gold frame all around the outside edge of my card. This is an easy way to add beautiful detail to your card. It's something that I do quite often. And once I've cut and removed those extra little pieces, I press my finger into the corner to make sure the peel-offs don't lift up. For a sentiment, I've already stamped out the word thanks, and I stamped it on the same light purple pearlescent cardstock. I'll adhere it in the lower left-hand corner. For a final finishing touch, I'll add a floral corner ephemera piece in the upper right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 8. For card number 9, the card sketch is from Cards TV. This is sketch number 30. I selected 3 different pattern papers. I have this lovely floral paper for the background. I'll add that onto a scallop rectangle die cut, and I used more of the mink pearlescent cardstock for that scallop rectangle. I'll put some ATG tape on the back and also a little bit of glue along the very outside edge and adhere my card front onto a card base. And you can see just a peek of the white card base showing around that scallop border. For the narrow strip across the card, I'm using some of the pink tone-on-tone polka dot paper. And for the wider piece on the left side of the card, I'm using more of the mint green polka dot pattern paper, and I'll layer it on a light cream pearlescent cardstock. For a little extra shine, I'll add some rose gold mirror peel-offs along the edge of the polka dot paper. I'm using the narrowest width, and I was able to use lots of the small scraps I had left over. Next, I'll add the mint green polka dot paper on the left side of the card, and that panel will be featuring another adorable hedgehog. This little hedgehog is floating in the sky holding a large bunch of balloons. The sentiment is another ephemera piece, this time happy birthday, and I did pop up both of those ephemera pieces using some foam dimension. I tied a small bow using the cream ribbon that's included in the kit, and I'll adhere it to the balloons using a small glue dot. For a final finishing touch, I'll add 3 of the soft peach sequins. I'll add 2 of them on the right side of the card and 1 on the left side of the card. I can never decide where I want to put embellishments, so I change my mind quite a bit. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 9. I really like how this one turned out. The 3 pattern papers work so nicely together. Now moving on to my final card, this is card 10. I really wanted to use the large wooden hot air balloon piece. Now you can leave it with that wooden look, but I wanted to add a little bit of color. This is the first time I tried ink blending using a blender brush, and it worked beautifully. I masked off the very top of the balloon so I could make the basket brown. Once that was finished, I moved that tape down to the bottom so I could mask off the basket. Then I'll add this lovely purple color to the rest of the balloon. Super easy, and I really like how it turned out. So I decided to do the same thing to the small cloud wood piece. I'm adding just a very light bluish purple color. For the background of my card, I'm using white cardstock. It's a little hard to see in the video, but I embossed it using a fun cloud embossing folder. Before adhering that panel onto my card base, I'm using some of the new peel-offs that are included in the kit. It's a beautiful purple iridescent glitter peel-off. I'll add a medium and also the narrowest width peel-off toward the bottom of the panel. I was struggling just a little bit to get one of the narrowest width peel-offs loose. Sometimes that happens with the glitter peel-offs. Wrap the ends around the back. Then I'll add my card front onto a card base. Using some of the blue pearlescent cardstock, I cut out a stitch circle die cut. And this is where I'll be adding the lovely balloon wood piece. I'll have the very left side of the circle hang off the edge of the card. Adhere that circle down using some glue. Then I'll flip over my card, use my scissors to trim off the extra circle. To attach the wood pieces, I'm using multi-medium matte adhesive. Most of the balloon will be on top of the circle, but the basket will hang off. So once I laid that balloon down, I realized I should add a little bit of foam dimension underneath the basket, and I'll add the cloud on the right side of the balloon. So So I'll also need just a small piece of foam dimension on the very right side of that cloud. Since I already added some of the multimedia mat, that little foam piece didn't want to stick right away. But once everything dries, those pieces aren't coming up. Underneath the balloons basket, I'm adding a thin foam strip, and I'm trying to tuck it underneath using my reverse tweezers. Of course, it's sticking to my tweezers, so it's hard to get underneath there. But I did finally manage to get it tucked underneath, and it's not visible from the front of the card. While I'm waiting for the glue to adhere, I'll place an acrylic block on top, and that'll add just a little extra weight. For a sentiment, I've already stamped out the word hello, and I cut the right side at an angle, and I also put some foam dimension on the back side. I'll adhere it in the lower right-hand corner. And here's just a quick look at the embossing folder I used for the background. On the left side of the balloon, I'm adding one of the large burlap flowers, and I'll adhere that in place using a large glue dot. I wasn't completely happy with the color of the cloud, so I'm using some Nuvo crystal drops. This is the ivory seashell color. I'll cover that cloud, then I'll spread it out using my finger. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 10. I really like how this one turned out. Not my usual card style at all. I have one final project to share, although I didn't record the process. I wanted to use one of the craft tags that's included in the kit, and it features one of the adorable hedgehog images that's on the stamp set in the kit. I stamped the hedgehog using some white ink, then I heat embossed it using some clear embossing powder. Added the thanks sentiment, a couple of peel-offs on the bottom, and also a few of the floral stickers. Now here's another look at the 10 cards I made using Love From Lizi's March 2023 card kit. The theme is Spring Friends. As I'm recording this voiceover, the kit and many of the add-ons are still available, and I do have links provided in the description box below. This is a monthly kit, so quantities are always limited. The only way to guarantee receiving a kit is to sign up and subscribe. And I do have links for subscribing in the description box below. This is one of Lizi's exclusive kits, and they usually sell out fairly quickly, so if you are interested, I would suggest not waiting. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.